Right then, guys and girls, I seem to have a problem here. Electronics, yeah, they become unreliable after a while. I've had to put some tinfoil in here to get contact for the batteries to work. It's a bit worn out now. Right, so I'm going to show you something here. This is podsorneczki masło. Not what it says on the bottle here, but this is Ukrainian sunflower oil, which is fairly unrefined. Now, this is probably the last we'll see for a while, if at all again, depending on what happens on this planet within the next couple of years. But difference between this stuff, which the Ukrainians love, and the Russians as well, and maybe people in the stands, it has a certain taste to it, okay, which is the sunflower seed, okay. You know what sunflower seeds taste like. This is unrefined, whereas what you get in the supermarkets, which is probably disappearing rather quickly now, is highly refined. It's not the same. This has a flavour all on its own. You can actually drink it and it tastes nice, or you put it on salads, yeah. And of course it's nutritious as well. So yeah, this is valuable stuff. Suddenly has become very, very valuable. Okay, so yeah, that was a gift that was sent to us before the conflict. We do have a supply, or we did have a supply of that coming in, but not anymore. Okay, so today's scavs that I want to show you. First one, and this is a mirror which I got from a housing estate, not near here, but it's sort of a place where scruffs live. People who couldn't care less about their environment, who think they're entitled to leave furniture out, broken furniture, for the bin men to clear up. Well, in fact, the bin men don't take the stuff if it's not in the wheelie bins. They expect the council to do it, okay, because they're paying their council tax. Well, they're slobs, but it does emphasise something. If, for instance, like certain areas on this planet have conflicts where a lot of the urban area has been destroyed, or people have left, the furniture and the materials around you could actually scavenge enough to be okay. And even in an environment like London, where skips are put out to get rid of stuff, there's always stuff to be had there. And this is what I developed when I was younger, is surviving by finding stuff. And one of those was this. It looks like a cow's stomach. Well, actually it's a cleaning glove. It's a cleaning mitt, isn't it? You recognise this? Somebody's got one of these somewhere. Yeah, it was filthy. I washed it with my clothes and it's come up quite nice. So those windows over there, those French windows over there, that'll be I can use that for these. Just a trivial item. But the other trivial item is this dog bowl, yeah, which I found in the skip. Stainless steel, proper stainless steel. It's not magnetic. However, she comes around with a dog, and now I've got a bowl to put water and food in for the animal, yeah, which is another saving, yeah. The biggest saving this week was acquiring a grease drum, 45-gallon grease drum, which is going to be converted into a water butt. Now, the difference between grease and oil drums is the grease drum has a lid which is removable and resealable with a catch on it. The metal is thicker, okay. With normal oil drums, they are fairly thin steel, and you have to cut the lid off manually somehow, yeah, and there's usually quite a lot of oil left in the bottom of these drums. Yeah, they do need cleaning out. I steam cleaned this one, and it's almost ready to use. I'll just give it a final rinse with fairy liquid and then put a tap on it. Yeah, that's the next acquisition I've got to find, a tap, and then a way of getting water into it. Yeah, we'll work on that, but we'll have a water butt for the summer. Yeah, so if you are needing stuff like that, you can always ask garages and workshops if they have spare oil drums. The bigger the workshop, the more likelihood is that they'll have quite a few spare. And regulations say that they have to get rid of empty containers, so they skip them, yeah, crush them and skip them, or they'll be happy for you to take them away. Yeah, this is all negotiation if you're brave enough to go and approach a workshop. Yeah, plenty of workshops around this country, so you know, it's worth a thought if you're looking for something like that. Yeah. So what's happening with the Apocalypse Chronicles? Well, what I've noticed at the moment, people are not turning their hand to growing foodstuffs. They're still ornamental gardeners, aren't they? Even in the garden shops, you go and have a walk around your B&Qs or your home base, for instance. Most of the stuff there is ornamental, the occasional fruit bush, which you can grow. But other than that, it's seasonal stuff like maybe strawberries and tomato plants. But the majority of the bulk of it, even when you walk around the States, is ornamental, yeah. One thing I did cotton on before I show you what I've been doing, yeah, is people who aren't green-fingered, who have greenhouses, stuff like that, they sell plants, okay, which is a good way of making an income, yeah. So just even if it's just a little bit, it can always be used for trade as well. If you want something and you are growing stuff, then you can trade your plants off, yeah, whether they're vegetables or fruit or even just ornamental stuff, yeah. While I was buying eggs this week, I managed to purchase a cheap fruit bush, which is a late raspberry bush. The difference in price, £2 to £8, £8 in Roy's of Wroxham, which is in this area of Norfolk, but yeah, it's like the B&Q, okay, so that's a saving. But I did buy a red currant bush as well, which I'm going to grow and see how we get on with the soft fruits in this garden, okay. So the whole area I've got is actually quite small. I've got a front and a back garden, and the sun moves in a certain way where I get a lot of shaded area in the afternoon. So I dug the path up to get rid of a lot of stones. As you can see, the sandbags here, that's only a small portion of the stones that I actually removed. I managed to recover some land, if you like, which is at the end of the garden near the compost heap. And the rest of it's really stony, so I spent a good afternoon sifting stones out, and believe me, there was just more stones than there was soil. But I've reclaimed some area. The rest of it I've bagged up. And to remove the stones, if you've ever seen The Great Escape, you know how they got rid of the dirt with the tubes down the trousers and they just walked around the yard kicking the dirt around? Yeah, well, I've sort of done that with the stones, and we're talking buckets and buckets and buckets full of them, yeah? So I've managed to disperse them around the region without any inconvenience to anybody else. And I've got some soil which has now been mixed with compost that was here, and some stuff that I bought from the supermarket, yeah. That's about the only thing I can do at the moment, but I'm building a compost heap. Obviously you need good manure, good compost to get good crops, don't you? And this is what it's about. Plants are converters of minerals, which then we can then eat and then utilise for our bodies, and then of course we then recycle it by shitting it and pissing it out, don't we? Yeah. So so what's happened so far with me with growing? Well, yeah, I didn't think I was green-fingered. I am and I'm not, because I don't know what I'm doing, I'll admit that. But I planted a load of stuff. I bought some seeds, first of all. So we have spinach and salad. This is stuff that just keeps growing and growing and growing, as well as some herbs. I transplanted some mint, which, yeah, okay, that'll either take or it won't. And then I tried to grow some parsley, which is not growing at the moment. Maybe it'll appear, I don't know. But I've also got coriander as well. The spinach is taking off really, really well in buckets, which is the way I'm going to do this. Rather than digging the ground, I'm going to try and level stuff. So I've got more stuff spread around at higher levels, not only for the sun to get it, but also to get it at different levels, so I get more utilising the ground as much as I can. Okay, so I will be building frames out of pallets. Angled frames to try and get the most growing area that I possibly can. I'm sure some of you know this already. You see these planters which are on the wall, and they all angle, so all of the levels are getting sunshine, so they grow. But the main thing is trying to also grow things upwards, like runner beans, which I've done. I'm surprised they actually sprouted, as well as hanging tomatoes, or climbing tomatoes, so they will climb and they will spread rather than just one plant, okay. One thing I was surprised at, and this was a little bit of inspiration by going into the food cupboard and finding not only had the onions sprouted, but also the garlic started to sprout, okay. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll plant it. And then I planted the whole clove, which has just taken off. Absolutely crazy, yeah. I thought I was going to get this for seed, because according to the YouTube, the seeds you get from like onion plants, you let the bulb grow the seed, then you take the seed off and plant that for next year, which I'm doing with one onion plant. But the garlic, you can actually nip the buds off and then have garlic bulbs at the end of it. So I've actually expanded that crop because it's quite expensive. Okay. The other thing, I was watching the YouTube guy on growing squash, butternut squash, which is absolutely fantastic. We eat a lot of it simply because it's rich in potassium and it has magnesium content. Well, everything green has magnesium content, doesn't it? Yeah. But yeah, there's plenty of seeds in it. And the advice was to split it, dry the seeds out and then plant them and see how we go. So this is what I've done, split them, as well as a bell pepper as well. Now the seeds are drying out and I'm going to save those for trading or for planting next year if they do actually take. Just remember, I don't have green fingers at the moment, but life is life. There is an imperative for life to grow if the conditions are right. Okay, so I think what it comes down to is good compost, good sunlight if it needs it, and or the right conditions, and water. Yeah, so if we supply those, hopefully planted at the right time, we will have something, even if it's only a supplement to what we've got. Now what I'm trying to do is get the most expensive stuff, that things like spinach, which is really expensive, and crop that. Okay, because we do eat a lot of spinach, and things like garlic and bell peppers as well. Everything is fairly pricey. It's just a pity you can't plant money really and make it grow in the ground, yeah, or meat or even bananas, stuff like that. But it's an attempt just to learn this year. If things progress worse, then we'll have to see how it expands. But I'm not going to be like suddenly a gardening program. I'll just show you what I'm doing to get out the shit, basically. You know as well as I do what's coming down the pipeline. A lot of people are not aware of it and they only react. Yeah, well, I do too. But it seems to be that it's with good warning. Okay, you listen to preppers, they may give you a little bit of too much nuclear war anxiety. But if you're sensible about it and you know that you still have a future, then you have to plan for that, don't you? Yeah, it's okay having the preps for maybe a year or 6 months or 3 months, but what happens after then? You need to have a food source, and vegetables aren't the be all and end all, but they're a start, aren't they? Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what we're at the moment. I've got 2 areas to grow and I'll just have to see how it goes with this at the moment. Okay, so yeah, basically in a nutshell, that is it. This is what I'm up to for survival. It's apparent to me that things like automotive, although I am a technician, the automotive, people will have to not rely on motor vehicles so much. I know some guys like their apocalypse, zombie apocalypse bug out vehicles, which, yeah, you make sure it's fueled up and ready to go. But after then, are you going to be able to access the fuel or find fuel from anywhere? If you don't make it, where are you going to get it from? Diesel especially. I think you're well aware of the crisis that's going on at the moment with the protesters. We are experiencing a lot of diesel thefts, tanks being broken into, vehicles drained and they can't start, which is obviously breakdowns for the garage to go out and top them up. Okay, but this leads on to another thing which I'm now installing in this house. And being a YouTube influencer on my other channel, I got approached by a couple of item suppliers from Amazon. One of those is a camera and the other is security motion sensors. So I'm fitting those in the house today actually, and then I will be making a video on my other channel to show you how they work. Now I think the camera, it pans, so I've got neighbours either side of me which will benefit from that as well. Okay, I've got a garage over the way with a vehicle which is in view, but it's also this part here. And when I lived in the Ukraine, it's one of these things I'm going to talk about quite a lot, because that was more of an extreme. Basically, people would steal anything. They'd steal buckets and bags and clothes off your washing line if they could get through over the fences there to steal stuff. It was actually that bad, and it could turn that way, so we've got to protect ourselves as well. So I'll be talking more about that in another video, but in the meantime you can see what I'm up to. Let me know what you're up to. Are you now prepping to get more supplies in, or are you expanding your little survival empire to do other things? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious, because it might be an inspiration for me as well. Yeah. So anyway, it's a lovely sunny Easter here in the UK. You know, the last time I sat on this sofa when it was this sunny was during lockdown, and that was a brain damaging time. I'll tell you, I didn't have the inspiration or the mission to grow. I wish I had done. I'd have been like 2 years ahead, but that's just one of those things, isn't it? You just have to assess and do risk assessments quite often to see how things affect you now and in the future. And of course, the way we do have early warning systems, which is the Prepper Network on YouTube and on the internet, yeah, although they can be a bit alarmist at times, can't they? Yeah. So anyway, I hope you have a relaxing week, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Apocalypse. Apocalypse out. Apocalypse Chronicles out. Excuse me, that is a mouthful for me, and I don't know why, but anyway, over and out. See you later, guys.